Hello, I'm Cindy Mojica and I am the culinary instructor for the Silver Fork program at the Center on Halsted. And welcome to Pilot Light Family Meal, where I'll be showing you how to make a one-pot chili and toppings bar today. So let's start by talking about the ingredients we're going to use today. So over here, I've got a tablespoon of oil. Any kind of oil is fine for this. I've got a quarter of a teaspoon of baking soda, a tablespoon of water, a pound and a half of 90% lean ground beef. Any kind of beef is good for that, just 90 is my preferred. We have 3 cloves of minced up garlic, a half of onion, minced or chopped up, however you like, 2 large tablespoons of tomato paste. I've got in this bowl a tablespoon and a half of chili powder, a teaspoon of ground cumin, a teaspoon of oregano, and half a teaspoon of paprika. Any kind of paprika you have is great. I like to use the hot because I like a little bit of smoky heat on that. We've got a can of black beans that I've both drained and rinsed just to get some of that canned flavor off. And then a 20-ounce can of diced tomatoes in juice. We're going to use all of that together. So the first thing we want to do is we want to take our baking soda and dissolve it in our tablespoon of water. Now it may not seem like much, okay? But this is actually going to help tenderize our meat so that we don't get like big hard little pieces of meat as they cook, right? We want everything to be nice and tender. So I'm just going to dissolve this. Then I'm going to take my beef and I'm just going to put it in the bowl. And I'm going to just make sure that that baking soda mixture just gets everywhere. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want to heat up our pot. You want to put it at about a medium heat. Now, everybody's medium is different and that's okay. So best thing to do is just look at your flame and see, make sure it's not super raging hot or super, super low. And the reason we want to heat up our pot first, before we do anything else, is that we want to make sure it's going to be nice and hot, nothing's going to stick to the bottom. Best way to check to make sure it's hot is just wave your hand over the middle of the pot and see what's going on. It'll probably take about a minute. I'm going to go ahead and put in a tablespoon of our oil there. Now you can use any kind of oil you want. I'm using just a neutral canola oil. If you've got olive oil, peanut oil, whatever you like is great. So I want to make sure my oil is nice and hot, and the way I can tell that is if it's moving around the pot nice and easily. All right, so I'm going to put in our meat. We just want to take our spoon and we want to break up that meat. And what we're doing right now is we're going to brown the meat. Now what that means is we're not going to cook the meat all the way through necessarily. We just want to make sure that there's flavor being built and that there are no more pink spots. And again, you're going to notice that this meat now feels a lot softer and a lot stickier, and that's what we want. That's what the baking soda did, which is tenderize our meat. So you're going to see here, the reason I like to use very lean meat is that way, once it's browning, I'm not getting a ton of fat at the bottom. I want to keep this pretty lean because it's not very tasty when it actually has that big glob of fat on top. All right. If you're using something that's 80-20, that's fine too. You're just going to have a little bit of extra fat in the bottom, and I'll show you how to get rid of that in a second. All right, so it looks like we're nice and brown now. So now I'm going to turn my pot off. I'm going to carefully take out my meat with a slotted spoon. It means I'm going to leave behind any fat or juice. Now I can tell that's mostly juice. Okay, Fat will always rise to the top, and you can tell it's very slick. Okay, but this is mostly juice, so I'm okay. All right, I do want a little bit of fat in here because we're going to cook our onions next. Okay, I'm hearing nice sounds and smelling nice, delicious onion. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put our garlic in. Okay. And we just let that garlic cook for about 30 seconds to a minute until I can smell it. So after our garlic, I'm gonna put in our tomato paste. I do want to move that around as much as I can. Because it came out of a can, I want to make sure that I get it pretty warmed up before I add anything else, so we get a little bit of that can flavor out. It also helps deepen the tomato flavor a lot if we cook it up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add our spices all in one go. And again, we just want to warm them up so we can smell them, right? And now I'm going to add a little bit of pepper. All right, salt and pepper, there aren't any measurements for this because you can put as much or as little as you like. I always start out with a small amount first because I can always add some, but if I put too much, I can't take it out. All right, now you can see we've got this really flavorful mess happening, and that's just what we want. Now I'm gonna put my meat back in. Any juice that was sitting at the bottom. I'm going to stir it up, really spread those spices up. And the meat will help pick up any spices that are stuck to the side or the bottom as well. Now I'm going to throw in my beans. I'm using black beans because that's what I like. But if any kind of beans that you have at your home works really, really well. White beans, kidney beans, or you don't have to do beans at all, honestly. And that's what I like about this recipe, is you can kind of adjust it however you like. Okay, just gonna warm those beans through, and now I'm gonna put in my canned tomato. Okay. Again, I'm using diced tomato because I like big chunky pieces of tomato, but if you've got tomato sauce or crushed tomatoes, you can use that as well. Right, you definitely need some tomato action in your chili. And what I like to do when I add a little bit of water is I'll save my can that had my tomatoes in and just use that to get water. That way anything that's stuck in that can can come out and we still get a little bit of extra flavor rather than just water. Okay, and I'm gonna add about 2 cups of water, I think. And we're gonna let this sit on the heat for about 20 minutes. And we're gonna give it a stir every so often just so make sure nothing sticks. And we're just let those flavors come together. Okay, so it's been about 20 minutes. You can see how much thicker our chili is. Right? That sauce has gotten nice and thick and glazy. Perfect. So now what we want to do is we want to taste it and see if it needs any more salt, pepper. We want to take a clean spoon. I think that's delicious. I don't think we need anything else. All right, so now I'm going to turn my pot off. I'm going to spoon some into a bowl. So while my chili was simmering away, I started doing some toppings. And this is the fun part. So you can get anything out of your fridge. You can just use it as a topping for your chili. So here I have some avocado. If you've got, if you like a little bit of heat, I have some jalapenos sliced. You can use pickled jalapenos, whatever you'd like. I definitely want some shredded cheese. Okay. I've got cilantro here because I like cilantro on my chili for sure, but you can use parsley or any type of fresh herb you like. I've got sliced scallion here, top and bottom, because both have plenty of flavor. And I even took our other half of our onion that we used in our chili and diced it up so I can put it on top. Another thing you can use, which I don't have, is sour cream. Or if you want to go lighter, you can always use a little bit of plain yogurt on top. That helps kind of cool things down and make your chili nice and creamy. So I'm going to put a little bit of everything, I think, because I love all this stuff on my chili sauce. Now the best part. Delicious. Thanks for joining me. Tag us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Pilot Light Chefs, #PLFamilyMeal, and visit the Food Education Center and click on Family Resources for today's recipe, additional activities to do related to today's recipe, and for additional family lessons and videos.
We want to know how you and your family are enjoying this recipe and making it together. So tag us. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Pilot Light Chefs, #PLFamilyMeal.